I'd hear the voices in the hallway. And I used to try and figure out who they were, which was fairly pointless. I mean, it wasn't as if I could have changed my top or stuck on a bit of lipstick if I happened to recognise the voice of someone I wanted to impress. Not at this stage. It must be a need we have to know things in advance. Stands to reason. To survive back at the dawn of time, it would help to know if there was a wild animal around the corner. But this last while, I don't even know if it's been a few days or a week. Maybe it's my hearing, but I just can't seem to harness the energy. It's too floaty. I hear Gareth talking to someone in the hallway, and I start to panic. Well, as much panic as the morphine will allow, and I start reaching deep inside myself to muster something of me, because it's getting harder and harder to summon even the smallest part of me for my visitor. Because it isn't easy paying that call to the dying person. God. The embarrassment used to radiate off me as I followed my mother into the hospital room or the hospice or the home of the person who had a matter of days. What do you say to these poor people? What on earth do you say? But still I went. Felt it was important to be there. It was the way I was brought up. And even though I loathed it, I got something out of it too. Being in the room with a dying person, I could sense some sort of mysterious ritual that the older people were in on, and we younger ones were only just beginning to understand. And I'm still not old enough to understand. I'm dying young, don't you know? So, anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so having been that nervous and awkward visitor so many times, it's important to me that every person who feels compelled to visit me to take on the challenge of finding something to say to Gareth and to me, that each one of those good people be rewarded with a glimpse of me, the me they knew, the me I was to them. The trouble is, and this explains the panic, I think I've lost her. All I have are these thin, wispy strands like cobwebs, so hard to grab and hold on to, fragile, precious. So, anyway, the visitor. Gareth opens the door and looks in. Is it okay? He asks without needing to speak. Yes, I reply without needing to speak, and already I'm looking past him to see whose head will appear in the doorway. Well, I still have my curiosity, that's something. But I'm hoping beyond hope that it won't be someone I love, because if it is, I'll have nothing for them. And they'll look into my eyes and I'll see the flicker, and I know they're thinking, she's gone. She's gone. And they'll leave and they'll phone the others and they'll say, it won't be long now. We have to be ready. It's a tall man who comes in, so familiar, but big, warm eyes, full of concern. My eyes. I'm seeing my eyes looking back at me. It's weird. I don't have a brother. And then I realise it's Tim, my cousin Tim, my closest cousin in age, and the spit of me, or so everybody used to say when we were kids. They lived over the other side of the country, but we used to spend a good chunk of every school holiday together, either at their house or ours. He's turning those big warm eyes to Gareth, and he's saying, it's hard for you. And it is hard for Gareth. I look at my beautiful husband and I say, it's hard for you, harder for you than me. I have the morphine to goof on. And someday, probably quite soon, there'll be nothing for me. But for you, there'll be days and days of offering tea and shaking hands, and that's okay. You can handle that. You're so good at it. It's after that I worry about. But of course I can't say any of this. And yet he looks at me as if to say, don't you worry about me, love. And he's off to make the tea or whatever Tim has said he'll have. Tim comes up to me, puts his hand on mine, and it feels like he's put his mitten on me that he's been wearing, nicely warmed up. Those wispy strands drifting around, barely there, but more than they have been lately. Snow, laughter, shrieking, a lethal sleigh made out of a plastic drum. We're in this steeply sloped field at the back of our house. We're 9 or 10. I hop onto the bit of blue plastic. I grab the rough edges where we cut the drum open to make the sleigh. I'm poised, ready to go, excited, terrified, breathing in the cold, clean air. Push me, I order. And Tim does. I try to grab the wisps, hold on to them, but they disappear. Like snow. Tim's talking to me. He's taking something out of a bag. Colourful things, red, blue, they're good things. I know that before I know what they are. Do you remember that summer? He's saying. That summer your mum and dad were in the States and you came and stayed with us. We got you up on a pony, got you jumping. Turns out you were pretty good for a total newbie. Pony, chestnut, blocky, what's this she was called? The adrenaline rush as we'd approach the jump. Come on! What's she called? These are in the attic, he's saying. You know, Mum and Dad sold the house. Well, in the clear out, I found them and I held on to them because I thought you'd get a kick out of seeing them again. They're rosettes. His family was big into show jumping. They all did it. They spent every weekend traipsing around the country from competition to competition. I reach out. I take one of them in my hand. And I gather together all my energy to focus on it. In the centre, where the real award should be, there's a cut-out card circle, curled at the edges, half unstuck. Faded writing and felt tip. Most plucky newcomer, this one says. You really wanted to jump in a competition, Tim's saying. You weren't quite there yet. So Dad organised a competition in the meadow just for us. These are your rosettes. You got a clear round. Do you not remember? Dad was so proud of you. Winnie. That was her name, Winnie the Winner. I nicknamed her. Strands are floating by. I reach out and catch them, hold them in my hands, and I'm on Winnie, feeling invincible, turning her towards the last jump. Breathing in her smell, the smell of my cousin's helmet strapped too tightly under my chin, the reins in my hands, feeling Winnie taking off. My heart beating like the clappers, but as we sailed through the air, having this deep confidence that we were going to land just fine. You had some pluck, says Tim, and squeezes my hand. And in my hand, he's pressing together those barely there strands into something I recognise. Me. And I look at him through my 10-year-old eyes, and I say, I did, Tim. And I still do.